I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get a no call to quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way, cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all it is. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. My heart on my sleeve, stress, shield my greed. That's how I get it. Success ain't no giving. Some days I don't hit, I don't sleep. When I'm focused, I'm dangerous. Down, wonder when I'm anxious. Ain't no limit till I tank. I'm running on fumes. The opposition don't amaze. The roads racing through the pavement. Get your hands out of my bag. I know that's because I've been in it. I don't need to brag. I guess that's what happens when you taking care of your business. But some family, you do the math. I'm out of my pocket. Houston, we got a problem. I ain't perfect. Let them watch me elevating. Got them nauseous. Cause I'm the pilot in the cockpit. Nose diving in the option. Woo! Watch out, get ahead. Watch out, get ahead. Watch out, get ahead.
It's time! Welcome to DFS by the Numbers with your host, Brady.
Better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my final thoughts for UFC Kansas City. Max Holloway versus Arnold Allen. We have a 14 fight card to talk about. Pretty solid fight card, I'd say. I think it's, especially this main card, Max Holloway, Arnold Allen, Billy Quarantillo, the co-main event. That should be fun. Yeah, lots of good fights, I'd say, for a fight night card. It's nice to be out of the Apex for a fight night card, but next week we are going back to the Apex. So, yeah, going to enjoy it here. A couple of fights where I'm like, oh my gosh, like Zach Cummings, Ed Herman, Lucy Pudilova, Jocelyn Edwards, but, no complaints. Any fights at all are better than no fights, as I always like to say. But yeah, a couple bets that are sticking out, lots of money line bets, not a lot of violence. I'm looking forward to getting back to the violence. Hopefully like next week. I think there's a lot of violent spots, but this card, I see a lot of decisions, which, I usually love betting violence, but there hasn't been a lot of violent spots sticking out the last 2 weeks. So, but yeah, looking forward to talking about this card with you guys. Before we get started, if you guys can please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Do want to shout out Underdog Fantasy, sponsor of the show. If you guys have not already, go sign up on Underdog using that promo code at DFSBTN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. And then I'll also give my favorite play. There's two plays that I really like on Underdog this week. I'll give my favorite play once we get to that fight. But yeah, go check out Underdog. Really good stuff going on over there. Going live tomorrow, 4:15 p.m. Eastern time with Patrick Addicted to Combat, and then also Lou Betcha as well. So be sure to subscribe, turn on the post notification bell so you don't miss out on all of that. But I say we check out the chat here, and we got the first one in the building is Jacob saying move to 7. Yep, going live at 7 today. Had a lot of stuff going on earlier today that had to get done. But yeah, going live at 7. Usually you can go live at 7. I've been going live a little bit earlier lately, but it is what it is. And yeah, PFL is going on. I'm not sure when PFL starts. I think it probably already started, though. We got Devin in the chat. What is up, Devin? Same time as PFL. So yeah, PFL starts at 7 there. We got Tony in the chat. Interesting card this weekend. Great main card. Lots of sketchy fights on the prelims. Lots of fights going to decision with lesser-known Missouri judges. Yikes, yeah. A lot of overs might be the play. Yeah, you nailed it there. Lots of sketchy fights. The judges are sketchy, and that's kind of terrifying, right? We got Ben in the chat saying, Raw Dog got this in the back. Cannot wait for that fight. We got Bill in the chat. It's prop party time. Let's go. We got Sean in the chat saying, let's go, Brady. Let's go, Sean. We got Jan in the chat saying, let's go. Let's go. We got Daz. Forrest bet his rent on Shane Burgos. Oh my, that should be a fun fight. Shane Burgos and OAM, but betting your rent, I don't know about that. We got Weezy in the chat saying, oi, what is up, Weezy? I was able to check out your show earlier today. I was able to catch and see who the ass shaving was, and I like it. I like the pick this week. Let's see what else we got here. You can't be Snerious in the chat. What is up? We got Ace in the chat. We got Smoothie in the chat. We got Get Darce in the chat. I don't know. To be honest, I didn't look into it. Off the top of my head, I'd say Shane Burgos, but I think it's a pretty closely lined fight from what I saw. I think it was like a pick 'em. So I would lean Shane Burgos, but no strong take there. And I wasn't able to look into it as much as I'd like to even think about betting it. But yeah, should be a fun fight though. Absolutely. All right, guys, I say we get into it. 14 fights to talk about. I do have 12 bets. The majority of them being like prop sprinkles, but And I do have 3 money line bets as well. So yeah, should be a fun time here for UFC Kansas City. And we're going to kick it off with Lucy Pudilova going against Jocelyn Edwards. And yeah, this is a big pass spot for me. This spot is a spot that would hurt me in the past. What hurt me in the past was, doing all the research, doing all the tape, and saying like Lucy Pudilova, her path to victory is wrestling and getting the fight down to the mat. If she takes that path to victory, she's going to win this fight really easily. And what hurt me was going out there and saying a fighter is going to do this. And then the fighter goes out there and doesn't do it at all. They don't implement their game plan. And I could see the exact same thing here. Should Pudilova wrestle? Yes. But is she going to? I don't know. And I don't really want to lay chalk to find out. The reason I can't be too confident in Pudilova is because you look through all her other fights. She's not going out there and wrestling, so maybe it was a one-off. She took down Yanan Wu. She looked good. But is she going to do that against Jocelyn Edwards? Well, she better hope so, but I don't want to lay money on it to find out. So, it's a pass here. Nothing sticking out from a betting perspective. I think the overs are fine for potential parlay pieces, but outside of that, just nothing here. From a DraftKings perspective, I really don't want to play this fight. I guess you can maybe talk me into it a little bit just because Pudilova does, in theory, have some wrestling upside. But it's an ugly fight to kick off the card. I don't know. I'm going to pick Jocelyn Edwards just because I can't trust Pudilova to go out there and implement the wrestling. And I think on the feet, it's going to be competitive, but Jocelyn Edwards should be able to land more volume. It's a fight that I just want nothing to do with from a betting perspective, from a DraftKings perspective. And as a fan, I'm not really looking forward to it. But, Jocelyn Edwards came out there today. She has that red hair. Not sure I like that as well. And I was considering changing my pick because I was not a fan of the red hair, but I'll stick with Jocelyn Edwards. But on a confidence scale of 1 to 10, it's probably a 0 on that. Big giant pass for me. Bozer looks incredible shape. Yeah, I saw on his Instagram about a week ago. Yeah, he looks in phenomenal shape. Absolutely. We got Jack in the chat saying, let's go, Jack. Jan said last time on at Best Bet show, you actually skipped Pudilova fight. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me that I skipped it. And then she went on to finish Yanan Wu by crazy elbows. Yeah, that was a outcome that definitely did surprise me. I love the under in the Pudilova fight. Under 1.5 or 2.5 there. Under 1.5, I think is plus money. 2.5, it is pretty chalky there. Vannata done dirty by the placement on this card. Yeah, that's kind of low on the card for a fight like that. I think the Zellhuber Vannata fight could potentially be pretty fun, as long as Zellhuber shows up, though. Jocelyn Edwards missed weight twice in a row now and fought at featherweight before that. Her last 2 wins are unimpressive. Yeah, I agree. She's very unimpressive. Both these fighters are unimpressive to me. Fight starts round 3 is one of my core plays. Yeah, fight starts round 3 could be a good parlay piece. That is currently sitting at minus 380, which is not completely juiced up. So don't hate it, but I will not be putting $1 on this fight. Moving on. We got another fight where it's just, a low level fight. Gaston Bolanos going against Aaron Phillips, a fight full of just red flags and question marks. We have Gaston Bolanos, who is 6-3 in his career, has no ground game whatsoever. Like when this guy is on the mat, he's just a fish out of water. His takedown defense is solid, I suppose, but when he does hit the ground, he's been submitted twice. So I don't like that. Really good striker, though. I think he has a Muay Thai background, kickboxing background. Really good striker, lots of power. I like that. On the Aaron Phillips side, you have Aaron Phillips, who has not fought in like 3 years. It's been a while. And the times we have seen Phillips in the UFC, he has not looked good. Another mess of a fight, another very little fight, but a prop that did stick out to me early in the week is the Phillips by submission. And I thought I was being like very sneaky with that. But it looks like everybody's starting to jump on that. So that sucks. But it was plus 1,400, which is just wild because Phillips, he is a black belt in BJJ. And he has went to his grappling outside the UFC. He hasn't inside the UFC because he's fighting all grapplers. But outside the UFC, I have seen him, get fights to the mat. I have seen him get, TKO submissions on the mat. But inside the UFC, he's fighting guys that want to take him down. That is not the case here. I think for Phillips, he's going to want to get this fight down to the mat. I think he could strike a little bit with Gaston, but why not take this guy down to the mat and try to sub him because he has no ground game whatsoever. whatsoever. So I took a quarter unit shot on Phillips to win by submission, plus 1,000. It's on DraftKings Sportsbook as we speak. Really upset that I missed the plus 1,400. And then I also missed the plus 1,200 because I was waiting for other books to get that prop out, right? Like on BetOnline, it opened up plus 1,400. BetOnline typically has like the worst numbers on the props. So I thought, okay, I'll wait for Bet365, FanDuel, BetRivers, etc., and see what they put out. But that line just kept getting smashed and smashed and smashed and smashed. And now that Phillips submission prop on BetOnline is plus 600. So luckily, on DraftKings, I was still able to get a plus 1,000, but would really have liked that plus 1,400. I got kind of greedy there. It's worth a shot because I think that's Aaron Phillips' path to victory. I don't think he's going to outstrike Bolanos. I don't think he's going to knock out Bolanos. If Aaron Phillips is to win this fight, it's going to be by, I think, a submission. So that's how I'm playing there. Quarter unit plus 1,000 on DraftKings. You got Bolanos 9,200 with knockout upside. He has a 100% finish rate. Can never ignore that. And then on the Phillips side, I think he does have some really sneaky ground game upside, especially if he goes to it. I don't see why he wouldn't here, honestly, against Bolanos. I'm pretty sure Phillips watched tape on this guy and saw that, hey, he has no idea what to do on the mat. So, but from a money line perspective, it's probably a dog or pass just because how could you lay chalk on Gaston Bolanos? You can't. And money actually has been coming in on Aaron Phillips. Yeah, I like Bolanos. I liked what I saw. It's just, and then I saw the line. I'm like, no way. I mean, what could go wrong laying chalk on a 6-3 Gaston Bolanos who's fought nobody and has no ground game whatsoever? And the answer to that is a lot can go wrong. So from a money line perspective, it's probably Phillips, but give me the Phillips sub instead. Brady, could you explain the new point spread feature on DK? Yeah, I gotta check that out, man. I somebody hit me up saying that that is on there, which is awesome. I know the only book that had that in the past was BetOnline. I did like kind of glance through and check them out today, and nothing really stuck out. But yeah, I'm probably going to start doing those if DraftKings keeps it up week after week. I haven't done one before yet, but I know a little bit about them. Say, for example, you bet a fighter, plus 3.5. Say, for example, I don't know, Aaron Phillips is plus 3.5, right? All Aaron Phillips has to do is win one round on the judges' scorecards. And then if Gaston Bolanos is minus 3.5, Gaston Bolanos has to win all 3 rounds on all the judges' scorecards and then or finish the fight. So at least that's what I think it is. I've never bet it, though, but that's kind of how I got it explained to me in the past. So, yeah, I might be hopping on those on DraftKings, though. Shout out to DraftKings for that. Max Holloway lock of the week. There is no such thing as a lock, but yeah, I like Max Holloway quite a bit. You picked Bolanos by TKO round 1 in your early prediction. That I did. Yeah, I'm picking Bolanos. I like his striking as a finisher, but I would not bet him, is what I'm saying. Do you like a finish in this fight? Yeah, I think so. I think it's either Bolanos KO or Phillips sub, but I'm not laying chalk on this fight doesn't go to decision, which is at minus 170. What is your parlay? I have no parlays this week. Man, Jacoby looked huge on the scale. Yeah, he did. He's a light heavyweight, and Azamat is he's a middleweight fighting at light heavyweight. I mean, Azamat's small for the division. Adrian seeing some money. I'm feeling myself this week. I'm not the longer this week's went on, the more I kind of hate this card from a betting perspective, to be honest. But we'll see what happens. Tanner Bozer lock of the week. Nothing's a lock in MMA, especially Tanner Bozer. But yeah, that's a fight that I'm just staying far, far away from. All right, moving on. We have Bruno Brazil going against Denise Gomez. We have Brazil as she's only minus 140 now. So money's been pouring in on one Denise Gomez. Brazil minus 142. Gomez is plus 122. Gomez looks to be the dog of the week. And to be honest, first of all, I'd never bet this fight, but if I would, at this point, it would be Brazil. I'm just not sold on Denise Gomes, whatsoever. She's very young, 23 years old. She's still very green. I'm just not sure what she's good at besides being tough, having solid cardio. Like, her striking's not great. Her striking defense is atrocious. Her BJJ's okay. Her wrestling's non-existent. And this is a matchup where Brazil should be able to stuff the takedowns, keep this on the feet, and just be the much better striker. So I get why people are taking a shot on Gomez at plus 200 because we have seen these WMMA fighters drop the ball as big favorites recently. I get it in that aspect, but stylistically, I like Brazil here. Do I want to lay chalk on her? No. Do I want to bet this fight? No, I really don't. But at this point, it would absolutely be on the Brazil side. But laying chalk on a WMMA fighter making their debut just doesn't really seem like a long-term winning strategy to me. So big giant pass from all perspectives, betting, DraftKings. But I'm actually kind of somewhat interested in this fight, though. I'm interested to see how Brazil looks in her debut and seeing if Gomes has made any improvements. Because from what I've seen, I'm just not a big fan of Gomez. So the pick's Brazil, though, by decision. People were saying Azamat was holding his leg. He looked rough on the scale, and it looked like he almost limped away. That's concerning. Yeah, funny you say that because I saw the same thing. He like limped off the scale. So, and he got he shaved his head bald too, which was interesting. But people bet underdog on WMA without any reason these days, and honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all, right? I get it. But personally, I think it's a good stylistic matchup for Brazil, but I don't want to get burned. I don't want to get burned. Azamat to get his third round TKO quarter unit. I kind of lean it being a first round knockout, if anything. I don't know if he can keep at the pace of Jacoby there. All right, moving on, we have Daniel Zellhuber going against Lando Vannata. And yeah, I was tempted on Zellhuber at minus 115. Figured I'd give him another shot. I kind of sat back, waited, and the line's gone away. It's now minus 130, minus 135. And at that point, I think I'm all right. I think I'm okay there. I think Zellhuber's slight favorite makes sense because I think it's a good, bounce back spot for him. I think it's a good spot to go out there and get him a win here. It's just, can you fully trust him? I'm not so sure. It's just he had that bad performance against Trey Ogden. And I went and watched every other fight. And after watching every other fight of Zellhuber, I remember why I was so high on Zellhuber coming into the UFC. I was super high on the guy. And then he craps the bet against Trey Ogden. So I think it could be a buy low spot on Zellhuber here. He's so much bigger than Lando Vannata. And yeah, I was tempted at minus 115, but at this price now, I think I'm probably going to pass. But I am tempted. If this line comes down a little bit more, maybe I'll take a shot on Zellhuber. Not sure if I'll get there. Like I have my fingers on the trigger here. It's just I don't know if I can fully trust him, and that's why we're getting a line like this, though. If Zellhuber went out there and dominated Trey Ogden like he was supposed to, Zellhuber would probably be minus 200 or more here in this matchup. It's just he looked like complete crap in his debut, but we see that a lot of times. We see these fighters make their debut look like complete crap and then come back and look really good. And that could be the case here. So it's a tough spot in terms of, do I want to bet on Daniel Zellhuber or not? It's kind of up in the air, but as of now, I have not. And as of now, I am passing. But I'm going to keep watching that line, see where it goes. From a DraftKings perspective, to be honest, I don't really like anything. If anything, it's probably Zellhuber 8,500, but I don't know how much upside he really has. Not really too excited about Vannata as well. So yeah, passing from a DraftKings perspective, but from a betting perspective, Zellhuber, he has my attention. It's just I don't know if I want to put money on him at this point. Is it going over this fight? Yeah, I think it does. Zellhuber lost to Ogden, enough said. And yeah, that's why we're getting this minus 120 line on him, though. Yeah, I mean, if they run it back, he's destroying Ogden. I think that was a complete one-off where he pulled a William Knight, just didn't even show up. Just pass. Zellhuber, yeah, passing is not the worst look in the world. Brady, what about Burgos OAM? I lean Burgos slightly, but it's isn't he? He's coming up a weight class. He looked kind of. I saw a picture that he looked kind of undersized against OAM, and OAM's really underrated. I like OAM a lot. It's a close fight. Yeah, I'm off Zellhuber, but I hope he does well. Pass on Zellhuber. I think Zellhuber was minus 250 at one point versus Ogden, then he lost, so I'm good. Yeah, I bet him at like minus 250. I beat the line by like a lot. And then he went out there and did that. So yeah, it hurt. But after actually looking into the fight, I saw why I was so high on Zellhuber. So I'm thinking it might have been a one-off performance, or he could be a fraud. It's either one of the two. Either he didn't show up and it was a one-off, or Zellhuber is a fraud. I think we're going to find out, though. Eryk saying, hit the like button. I agree. If you guys have not already, be sure to hit that like button. Zellhuber in the over 1.5 plus 140. Decent. 3 worst fights: Robertson versus Rodriguez, Guida versus Garcia, Vannata versus Zeller. You think those are the worst? I don't know. I think Pudilova Edwards is terrible, and then Zach Cummings and Ed Herman is a pretty terrible fight. But these prelims are rough, guys. Like, these prelims are very rough. Yeah, I agree with that one. Max Holloway 4th round KO. I hope so. Now you're right. I hope it was just a one-off too. It may have been. It may have been. It may have been. We will find out. But yeah, no bet for me as of now. But I'll be monitoring the line, and if I can get it at like -110, -115, I'll probably take the shot. But as of now, passing. All right. Moving on, we got Jillian Robertson going against Pierre Rodriguez. Nothing here. I don't have a lot of action on these prelims, and you guys can probably tell why I don't have a lot of action on these. Just really sketchy fights, sketchy fighters, fighters I don't want to trust, fighters I don't really want to put money on. And this is a close fight here. Robertson came down to 115. She looked really good, like really good. So that's good. She's going to be the bigger fighter here, but I still think it's going to be a close fight. Like, Robertson's obviously the better grappler, PGA black belt, very dangerous on the ground. Rodriguez is not the best striker in the world, but she's a better striker than Jillian Robertson just because everybody is. I guess it's all going to come down to, whether Robertson can get on top in this matchup. And she could potentially, but I don't know. I was really tempted on Robertson pre-tape like 2 weeks ago. She's like +140. And I meant to look into it, but never got around to it. And then I went and checked the lines like a week later, and she was like -120. I'm like, oh no. Should have probably got on that. Yeah, she was like +140. The line moved quite a bit, and now she's like -120, -130. So yeah, missing the line. I know a lot of people that did get on Robertson early. You guys did your job, but at this point, it's probably a dog or pass situation. A close fight can go either way. From a DraftKings perspective, I actually lean the Jillian side just because I think she can get takedowns here. I think she's the more dangerous fighter. I think she is live for the submission. So really only have interest in this fight from that DraftKings perspective, and it's on Robertson. But from a money line perspective, at this point, where the line is sitting now, it would be a dog or pass on Pierre Rodriguez, but I don't really want to bet this fight as well. Don't worry, guys. I have plenty of bets on this card, but not a lot on these prelims. Did you think Waterson Gomez won last week? Absolutely. Absolutely did. Maybe I was biased because I had a bet on her, but yeah, I thought she clearly won the first 4 minutes and 55 seconds of the first round, lost the last 5 seconds, and then I thought she won the third round, and then I thought she lost the second. Robertson will get creamed. Oh my. You think Pierre knocks her out? Robertson versus Rodriguez is only going one of 2 ways, Jillian by sub or Pierre by decision. I can see it. Rodriguez only holds a very slight advantage over Robertson. Robertson as a dog, probably a good bet. I agree. I would have not mind a Robertson dog bet at +140, but at -130, I can't quite get there. Robertson for tournaments, yeah, I think she has a lot of upside. P-Rod is internet's favorite dog of the week. I don't know. I haven't really seen anybody on Pierre, to be honest, but haven't really watched much content this week or been on Twitter much. So maybe, I don't know. But yeah, it looks like according to like the betting, it's all Robertson. Robertson is a bad minute winner. That is true. If she won't finish the fight, she can lose a decision easily. I don't like her as a favorite. Yeah, same. But we can move on to the 1-800-GAMBLER fight of the week. We have Zach Cummings versus Ed Herman. Yeah, this fight, just so many red flags here. Like, Zach Cummings is coming off of a 3-year layoff. He's coming up a weight class. He had like a major surgery, major injury. He looked terrible at the weigh-ins. It looked like he, hasn't even trained. He looked awful. He's talking about retirement. This is probably his last fight. Like, I'm 99% sure this is his last fight. And then you have a 42-year-old Ed Herman who's looked awful. At the very least, at least Zach Cummings looked good in his last fight, but that was 3 years ago. So how much can we really take from that? And he's coming up a weight class. Like, this is a mess of a fight. If you bet this fight, you have a serious problem. If Zach Cummings was fighting anybody else other than Ed Herman, I'd be betting against Zach Cummings here. The problem is he's fighting Ed Herman. So do I want to bet on Ed Herman? Absolutely not. Do I want to lay a chalk on Zach Cummings? Absolutely not. This is a big giant pass. No props are sticking out. No money line sticking out. And if you lay 9,600 on Zach Cummings on DraftKings. There's some issues going on because I laughed out loud when I saw this price tag on Zach Cummings. 9,600 for Zach Cummings is wild. If anything, it's probably the 6,600 at Herman, just because Zach Cummings should not be 9,600 against anybody at this point of his career, especially with all the red flags going on, all the narrative things. So it's a pass from a betting perspective, a DraftKings perspective. As a fan, I'm intrigued just because I feel like it's going to be a hilarious fight. I feel like it's going to be something that I'll enjoy as a fan watching. But from a betting perspective and a DraftKings perspective, I don't really want to put my money on anywhere near this one. So it's a big giant pass. I'm going to pick Zach Cummings because, like I said, the last time we did see Cummings, he looked solid. And I think that version of Zach Cummings destroys Ed Herman. It makes it look pretty easy. But again, that was 3 years ago. So not expecting that same version of Zach Cummings. Just a sick mess of a fight here, to be honest. Even Zawada just got slept by who? Who's Zawada fighting? Goodness. Zawada was a guy that was in the UFC for a couple fights. Cummings versus Herman might be a double retirement fight. Yes. Cummings said in a recent interview that they are good friends, expect a sparring match to end in decision. I could see exactly that. Cummings Herman 1-800 gambler fight of the year, and I don't think there's a close second. Back by decision. I could see it. $9,600 price tag is an actual joke. Yeah, wild. We got Rob in the chat. What is up, Rob? Brady, did you pick Khabib or Connor? I picked Khabib in that one. Herman took Menifield's punches. It is dog or pass. It is pass or pass, but yeah, it's dog or pass. But pass or pass for me. If Zach mounts Ed, maybe John Anik will say Cummings on top of Herman here. Maybe we'll have to find out. All right. Moving on, we have Mateus Nikolao going against Brandon Royval, and this is where my action kind of starts here. I have the under 2.5 rounds, plus 100 for a half a unit. Missed out on the plus 135 because I took Easter off Sunday. But yeah, once I looked into it, I think violence is the way to go rather than laying a money line either side here. Just due to the fact that this is a Brandon Royval fight, both guys are very dangerous. Both guys can be finished, and I think Brandon Royval is going to open up a lot of opportunities for either him to get hurt and knocked out or club and subbed, or I think he's going to have opportunities to knock out Nikolao, who Nikolao's been knocked out in 2 of his 3 losses. So yeah, I like a finish here one way or another just because I think this fight's going to be chaos. Stylistically, I'm interested to see how Nikolao approaches this fight because Nikolao is a very smart fighter, very technical fighter who kind of likes to slow it down, take his time, one big shot at a time. And Royval is going to get in his face and make this a complete war. So interested in that aspect of things. But yeah, I think the under is the way to go. I don't like a side here. I think Nikolao's the much, much better fighter. I think I really like Nikolao. One of my favorite fighters in the division. It's just Brandon Royval is going to bring a style that I'm not sure how Nikolao is going to deal with it. So yeah, the under for me, half a unit plus 100. And then on DraftKings, I think it's a really solid fight to target. 9,100 for Nikolao, I think is live for a finish. And then Brandon Royval, 7,100, I think is a very live dog first and foremost. And then second of all, I think he has a lot of upside as well and a win, which would be a finish win, I think. So yeah, DraftKings like it. And then that betting perspective, looking for an under there at plus money. I got you, Eryk. Raw dog by Laylock. That'd be wild. I think it would have, if he subs Nikolao, I think it'd have to be like a club and sub. Nikolao is a black belt. Both guys are black belts, I think, though. Yeah, don't hate it. Don't hate it. Nikolao live bet after round 1 could be a good look. Yeah, I think I'd rather do that than lay his minus 200 money line. Royval versus Nikolao can very well be on the co-main, let alone main card. Yeah, I don't really understand what they're doing here with it being on the prelims. Yeah, it makes no sense to me, but it is what it's not even in the featured prelim, I don't think, which is wild. But yeah, probably one of the best fights on the card on the prelims there. Royval by sub, raw dog. Yeah, I'm rooting for some violence. Over in my parlays, that is all. I'm going the completely other way with you there. Best 3 fight money line parlay, would not recommend that for this card, but I do like Holloway, Rafa Garcia, and those are like the only 2 I'd feel comfortable with really giving out. Maybe Jacoby, maybe Bill Algeo, but Holloway and Garcia probably my most confident this week. But I don't think it's a great parlay card, to be honest. Moving on, we have Bill Algeo going against TJ Brown. And yeah, I have my first money line bet here. I have 1.5 units on Bill Algeo at minus 165. He's currently around there, minus 185. And at first, I was kind of leaning potential shot on TJ Brown, but after taping it, I think it's a really good matchup for Bill Algeo, just due to the fact that, you know, Brown is a good wrestler. He is going to wrestle, and Bill Algeo can be taken down. It's just Bill Algeo pops back up each and every time. Bill Algeo has an incredible get-up game, very hard to take or very hard to hold down, very good scrambling ability, black belt and BJJ. So I think he's going to give TJ Brown some problems with that aspect. So yes, TJ Brown can take down Bill Algeo, no question about that, but I don't see him holding down Bill Algeo. And TJ Brown's a guy that just makes a ton of mistakes. I mean, the fight IQ is always in question with TJ Brown. And I'm not talking about his haircut. I'm talking about him getting reversed by multiple opponents. Even in his last fight against that fraud and Eryk Silva was reversed in that first round. He's submission over position. He's making mistakes on the mat, and I don't think that's going to slide against a guy in Bill Algeo. So yes, Brown is going to wrestle. He's going to get takedowns, but he's not going to hold down Bill Algeo. And I can see him getting reversed as well, and Algeo ending up on top. And then as the fight goes on, Algeo has a very good gas tank, very good cardio, pressure, pace, volume, whereas TJ Brown, we have seen him slow down in the past, and he's definitely going to slow down if Algeo's making him work, getting back up each and every time. So I like Algeo to win this fight by decision, if not maybe a late finish, but probably a decision here. And then I'm on that Algeo money line at 1.5 units minus 165. And this could also be another good live bet spot, I think, because TJ Brown, I do expect him to have some success early, but as the fight goes on, I heavily do favor Bill Algeo here. So taking the money line shot on Algeo, I think it gets it done. What's up, B? How you doing? Is this the B? You changed your profile pic? Bill is tall, hard to take tall guys. Yeah, hard to hold Bill down. That is for sure. Ben saying Charles pulled out of the Dariush fight. For real? No. Is that true? If so, that is a big disappointment. Big disappointment if that is true. Jan saying, I would lie bet Algeo Brown can win first round, but he's slowing down and I can't trust him anymore. Yeah, I don't think that's the worst look. I could see Brown maybe winning the first round, but as the fight goes on, I heavily favor Algeo. I like Algeo here, but won't have the luxury of fighting a guy this time that lost by refusing to not lay on the ground. But won't have the luxury of a guy this time that lost by refusing to lie on the ground. What fight are you talking about there? Dang it. That sucks. That sucks. Charles pulled out. Yeah, that sucks, man. Dang it. Dang it. Yeah, I love watching Charles Oliveira fight because it's always an easy under. Like, bet the under every time. That sucks. I wonder if they're going to get Dariush a replacement or what's going on, but that hurts. Okay, I got you, Eryk. I got you. You need to do a PFL breakdown. It's so hard, man, because I already have to tape like 12 to 15 fights a week. Maybe I could break down like a few matchups, maybe like a main card. I couldn't do a full card PFL breakdown with the amount of time I put into, researching these fights. Unless I want to go out there and like wiki cap it, just look at topology and stuff. But I don't know if I want to do that. We'll see. Read my comment, please, Brady. Let me see if I can find it. This one. I remember having Royval Bontarin fight to go the distance, and in the third round, Bontarin almost tapped to an triangle armbar. Yeah. I remember people thinking he actually did tap, and it kind of looked like he did tap, right? Is that what you want me to pull up? All right. Let's move on. Next, we have Rafa Garcia versus Clay Guida. And I do have another bet here. We have 2 units on Rafa Garcia. minus 220. Was able to beat some linemen, but there he's like minus 260. And then I also have a half unit on Rafa Garcia to win this fight inside the distance at plus 250. Yeah, I think these guys are pretty similar in terms of their fighting styles. It's just one guy is 28, getting into their prime, looking better than ever, and then one guy's 41, almost 42, way past his prime, and has not been looking good as of late. So, yeah, if this fight was a few years ago, I think Clay Guida would be a very live dog. But, I think Rafa Garcia is looking better than ever. He moved to Team Elevation Fight Camp. He's improved that cardio. We see it in his fights. He's been working with really good guys as well. And I think he's looked better than ever. Whereas Clay Guida, he's getting towards the end here, 41 years old at lightweight, not the best look in the world, and did not look the best in his last fight against Scott Holtzman, in a fight that really could have went either way. I like Garcia here. I think he's going to be better at this point of their careers, just better everywhere. I think he's going to be the better striker, although I don't think Garcia is the best striker in the world. I think he's going to be the better striker here, though. I think he's going to have more power on the feet, land the bigger shots. I think both guys can wrestle, but I think it's going to be Garcia. If he does get the takedown, he'll be the one being able to get top control. He'll be the one threatening with submissions. And I think that submission's very live. Clay Guida's been submitted a ton in the UFC. Overall, Clay Guida's been submitted 11 times out of 22 losses. Half of his losses come by submission. And Garcia is a good grappler. Garcia has finished a lot of his wins by submission. I think he has 9 wins by submission. I saw him training with, who's he training with? Cub Swanson, Brian Ortega. So maybe that'll kind of rub off on him here. Training with those incredible grapplers. And I think Garcia is going to either hurt Guida, maybe a club and sub, or like I said, if he gets his fight down to the mat, I think he's going to have opportunities for that submission. So I like Garcia here quite a bit. He's the biggest favorite on the card for a reason, I think. And I think he finished this fight inside the distance. So yeah, money line minus 220, 2 units. And then also the half unit shot on the inside the distance, plus 250 on Bet365. What was Rafa's last fight? That was Mahashate. The crowd is going to be disappointed. Yeah, Guida is definitely a fan favorite. And I bet the crowd is definitely going to be rooting for Clay Guida. You have to respect Guida for his longevity, but do get subbed by a tight turtleneck. Yeah, he's been subbed so many times, and I think the sub is very live. I have Brown money line, Pedro money line, max under 4.5, parlay 67 to win 930. It could happen. I'll be sweating. Good luck on that parlay, Rob. I'm going the other way on the Brown side. I like Algeo, and I'm going the other way on the Pedro side, but I don't hate the Pedro money line. And then I don't mind the under in the Max Holloway fight as well. So best of luck on that. We got LJ. He's late tonight. All good. Thank you for stopping by. Was going to bet Rafa by decision, but Clay has been subbed more times and he's lost a decision. Yeah, I could see Rafa winning a decision. I could see him winning by submission. I don't know if he knocks out Clay Guida, but I could see like a club and sub. Guida loses by another guillotine. I'm kind of leaning that way as well. Guida got it hanging up, man. He's a legend, but still, he's not looked great lately. I mean, the last time he looked really good was in that Michael Johnson fight. He looked solid, and that was a couple years ago at this point. All right, let us keep moving on to the next fight. We got Chris Gutierrez going against Pedro Munoz. Nothing really sticking out here. I think it's a pretty simple fight to break down. Like if Pedro Munoz was to go out there and wrestle, I'd bet him here, and I'd pick him in this matchup, especially at these dog odds. It's just Pedro Munoz is not a wrestler. He's never been a wrestler. And at 35, 36 years old, he's not all of a sudden going to become a wrestler. So I think this fight's going to stay standing. And at that point, Gutierrez, he's younger, he's taller, reach advantage, the better striker, defensively, more tools on the feet. Should be a Chris Gutierrez decision win. I think it's as simple as that. But yeah, Pedro Munoz, I don't want to completely count him out. He's, fought the who's who, and Chris Gutierrez is taking a step up in competition. It's just 36 years old at this point. I don't like it. See, I'm picking Gutierrez, but I'm not touching the money line. If anything, it'd be that Gutierrez by decision, which I saw in plus money. But even that, I'm not really running to the window for. From a DraftKings perspective, there's no way I can touch Gutierrez at 9,400. He's not going to wrestle. He's not going to knock out Pedro Munoz, who's just next level durable. So I think from a DraftKings perspective, I'm passing. And then from a money line standpoint, I'm passing as well. Passing on this fight. I think it's to be a good fight. I like the fight, but nothing really sticking out from a DraftKings or betting perspective. What is your worst bet ever? My worst bet ever is laying chalk on Gina Mazzani against Shanna Young. That one probably hurt the most. That was probably my worst bet. Still hurts to this day. But I learned from that experience. I will never do something like that again. So that's good, at least. At least I learned from it. Don't hate it. Yeah. Gutierrez decision prop should be solid. And by the way, for that Rafa Garcia fight, like I was talking about earlier, Underdog, use that promo code DFSBTN. My favorite play on Underdog this week is that Garcia over on the fantasy points. They have it set at 55.5, which means all he has to do is win the fight, and he's going to easily score that. So, yeah, check that out on Underdog. Over 55.5 fantasy points for all he has to do is win the fight, I think. And he's the biggest favorite on the card. So I like that quite a bit. Rosas was my worst bet. Yeah, that's a bad bet. Yeah, that was bad. He almost got Rodriguez out of there, but no, I mean, he looked bad in that second and third round. That was hard to watch. Gina Mazzani missed gas and under 1.5. Yeah, I was kind of more so fading Shanna Young in that matchup because Shanna Young, her takedown defense is horrible. Her ground game is even worse. But yeah, she only showed about a minute of gas in that fight. But like I said, I learned from it. And I will not be making that mistake again anytime soon. All right, moving on. We got Ayn Kudalaba going against Tanner Bozer. We have a line flip here. Kudalaba was like plus 140 last week. He's now minus 120, minus 130. I can't lay chalk on Ayn Kudalaba. At dog money, probably would have got there just due to the fact that Tanner Bozer, his takedown defense is terrible, and he has no get-up game whatsoever to speak of. So, in theory, Kudalaba is going to get this fight down to the mat, no problem. It's just if this fight hits the second round and you're holding a Kudalaba ticket, you're probably not going to feel too good because his gas tank is atrocious. In some fights, it's weird. In some fights, Kudalaba's gas tank looks awful, and then in some fights, his gas tank looks okay. This is a fight I just want nothing to do with. Like, I could see this fight playing out in so many ways. Kudalaba first round finish. Kudalaba 3-round decision with the wrestling. Kudalaba gassing out after the first, getting finished in the second or third by Bozer. So I could see a lot of different scenarios in this fight. It's just one I want to stay away from. Laying chalk on Ayn Kudalaba is just not something I really want to do. And then at the same time, Tanner Bozer's ground game is so bad that I would not even think about taking the dog shot on him. So it's a big pass for me. From a DraftKings perspective, that's where I'll be on it. Kudalaba has first round finish upside, a lot of takedown upside, and of course, Bozer, if he does win, it's in that second or third round. So from a DraftKings perspective, I think it's a really, really good fight to target here. Kudalaba 8,400, Tanner Bozer 7,800. But from a betting perspective, I would not even think about betting this fight. We're in the Bozer era. I don't know. I mean, his ground game's terrible, but if he survives the first round, he's going to be live. So maybe like a live bet on Tanner Bozer, because he's absolutely going to lose the first round. Absolutely, he's going to lose the first round. So maybe live betting Tanner Bozer is the way to go. And Jan just said it. Yeah, live bet Bozer after he gets 10-8'd in the first round. I like that. I like it. I have an Algeo money line and Jacob money line parlay. I like that. Algeo, Jacoby, Holloway. Kudalaba is going to ragdoll Bozer for the first 5 minutes. Yeah, it's just can he do it for the next couple minutes in the second round? That's why I can't quite get there. And yeah, I agree. Alex Pereira became the champ with quite possibly the worst ground game in the UFC. Yeah, that is true. That is true. All right, we'll keep moving on. A couple more fights left. We have, yes, he did. He went 3 rounds with Gone. That is true. All right, next we have Dustin Jacoby going against Azamat Mirzakanov. And I do have a bet here. I have 1.5 units on Dustin Jacoby at minus 159. And this line movement kind of scares me. I'm actually kind of baffled that there's this much love on Azamat Mirzakanov because there's a lot of reasons to like Jacoby. Like Jacoby, he's much more experienced. He's much bigger. Like if you guys saw the weigh-ins, like Jacoby's towering over this guy. It's the size is crazy. 5-inch height advantage, 5 to 7 inch reach advantage. On some websites, it's a 5-inch. On some websites, it's a 7-inch. Regardless, Jacoby much bigger, big reach advantage here. The volume isn't even remotely close. Jacoby's going to throw and land so much more than Azamat in this matchup. I guess it all comes down to, is Azamat going to knock out Dustin Jacoby? I think that's his path. And if you do like Azamat, I think you bet him by knockout, because I just don't see him winning minutes against Dustin Jacoby unless the crooked, corrupt judges screw it up like they always seem to screw up decisions lately, especially. But yeah, I like Jacoby here in quite a bit. I think Azamat's KO or bust, and Jacoby's has a really good chin. 25 fights for Jacoby, only 1 knockout loss, and that knockout loss was almost like 10 years ago. He was able to take shots from Khalil Roundtree, no problem. That guy hits hard. So yeah, Azamat, KO or bust. Could he knock out Jacoby? Absolutely. This is MMA. Anything can happen. But give me the minute winner, and a minute winner that I think is going to win a lot of minutes in this matchup for Jacoby here. From a DraftKings perspective, I don't really like the price tag for Jacoby here, $8,900 for a guy that's not going to wrestle, for a guy that I don't think finishes this fight. At least early on. $8,900, I'm going to pass on that. If anything, it's probably Azamat at $7,300, because I think if Azamat wins, it's a knockout, and it's probably a first-round knockout as well. I think Azamat's going to slow down a lot as this fight goes on. It's not going to be a slow-paced fight here, and it's not going to be a fight set at his pace like the Nchukwi fight, like the Devin Clark fight. In both those fights, he was kind of able to dictate the pace. Very slow-paced fight. I don't see that happening here. I don't see Dustin Jacoby going out there and fighting Mirzakanov's game. So yeah, give me Dustin Jacoby, 1.5 units, minus 159. And like I said, the line movement kind of baffles me a little bit, but I don't know. Maybe it's because Azamat's undefeated, but I don't know. I don't think he's that great. Jacoby by decision plus 240. I took the money line just because I don't know. I could potentially see a knockout. Like Jacoby hits very hard, but I would lean decision as well. Yeah, he is. He's an actual light heavyweight. And Chukwu, or whatever his name, Chukwu was 6 foot. Jacoby's like 6'3". Jacoby has horrible head movement and gases. I'll agree with the head movement, but gases, I don't know about that. Yeah, he's a pretty good gas tank to me. I put money on Jacoby just by watching them face off. He's just much bigger. Jacoby is undefeated in the UFC. Won his last fight. Yeah, I thought it was clear as day, and of course that one bites me. I had Jacoby finish only. Was feeling phenomenal about it, and then all of a sudden they gave it to Roundtree. Like, these judges are terrible, man. Jacoby to win and over 1.5 rounds, plus 135. Solid. I like that. I lost money on Jacoby Roundtree. Yep, right there with you. It hurt. Azamat also doesn't fight very often. No, he doesn't. I could pull it up, but I know off the top of my head, this guy's been fighting for a while, I think, and he only has 12 fights to show for it. So yeah, doesn't fight all too often. Azamat is undefeated with an 83% finish rate. Both of those are very true. Very, very true. All right. Co-main event here, we have Billy Quarantillo going against Edson Barbosa. Really fun co-main event here. It's a fight where another good live betting spot. Like, there's a lot of live betting spots on this card that make a lot of sense. Like Dustin Jacoby, even a live betting spot. Tanner Bozer, live betting spot. Bill Algeo, live betting spot. Nikolao could be a good live betting. Like, lots of good live betting spots. This is another really good one because Billy Quarantillo, we know what he does at this point. He blocks punches with his face. He makes his opponents hit him in the face so much that his opponents get tired. Billy starts to take over. He starts to get into the fight, and then he drowns you. He drowns you with that cardio, that pressure, that pace, that volume, and it gets you out of there late. Billy Quarantillo is going to have to weather a storm here, and he's going to get hit in the face a lot. I would not lay this money line on Billy Quarantillo because he has a 40% strike in defense, and Edson does hit hard. But I think if Edson does win this fight, it's going to have to be an early knockout because I just don't see him keeping up with the pace of Billy at this point of his career. Edson Barbosa, now 37 years old. Barbosa got dropped in his last fight against Mitchell. Got broken against Giga Chikadze. I think we are seeing a big decline in Edson Barbosa at 37 years old, at this weight class, especially this lower weight class. So I like Billy to take over as the fight goes on. I think he's absolutely going to lose the first round. I really don't see any way he wins this first round. So instead of betting Billy right now at minus 170 or minus 165, whatever, I'm going to be live betting Billy potentially if this fight does hit the second, which I think it does. And then I also did sprinkle the Billy Quarantillo round 2 and round 3 props, quarter unit on each, round 2 plus 600, and then round 3 plus 1100 there. That round 2 currently is plus 650. It got better. But yeah, I'm sprinkling these Billy Q 2-3 round props. And if you like Edson, I don't hate a shot like Edson KO1. It's just Edson has not KO'd somebody in the first round in about 10 years. I'm not sure he KOs a very tough Billy. But Billy blocking punches with his face would be my only concern there for a Billy Quarantillo bet. From a DraftKings perspective, I love Billy Q here, 8,700. This guy throws a ton of volume. If he does win, he's going to put up a massive score. I think he has the second highest ceiling on the slate, right behind Max Holloway. So give me some Billy Quarantillo on DraftKings. And in Edson, I don't hate some shots on him just because I think he could potentially knock out a very hittable Billy Quarantillo, but leaning towards that not happening. All right. There is no way Billy loses this. Never say no way. Barbosa absolutely folds when he's under pressure. You know it's rough when Bryce Mitchell was walking you down. And yeah, Bryce Mitchell dropped him as well, which is not a good look. I love me some Quarantillo here. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Really looking forward to this fight. Could definitely see a finish 2-3, and that's why I sprinkled them. I like it. Quarantillo to win and over 1.5 rounds plus 130 makes a lot of sense to me. Imagine watching Brady and doing all this research, watching Brady streams for insight, topology research for all the judges to F up our bets. Why do we still have trash judges? They need to go. Yeah, the judges got me last week with Michelle Watterson Gomez. That one hurt. I mean, I thought it was clear as day. But yeah, the last couple cards, the judges have just been terrible. Like there's that London card where the judges were awful. The card after that, the judges were awful. And then the judges were awful last card as well. So nothing's going to change though. I mean, we've been dealing with this forever. Looks like there's not going to be any changes anytime soon. It's just the sport we play. It's the sport we bet on. Body kick KO. You're talking Edson, right? Pretty sure Billy gets it done. And I hope he does. And I hope he does it in that second or third round. All right. Main event time. If you guys have not already, be sure to smash the like button. I do appreciate that. Also, subscribe to the channel. I'll be going live 1 hour prior to the prelims tomorrow for best bet. And then also I'll be dropping the betting breakdown video tomorrow morning at 6:30, bright and early there. All right. Max Holloway, Arnold Allen. I have actually 4 bets on this main event. And I'll get to those bets right now. So for the 4 bets, well, I'll start with this. At first, I was like, yeah, I mean, it should be Max Holloway here, but I'm not too confident in it. But as the week went on, like I'm just getting more and more confident in Max Holloway because I think for Arnold Allen to win, he's going to have to knock out Max Holloway, drop Max Holloway. And that just seems like something that I don't really see happening. Max Holloway's absorbed over 2,000 significant strikes, has still never went down. I think he's only been hurt like maybe once or twice. I know he got hurt by Dustin Poirier, almost dropped, but he didn't. So yeah, I don't see Arnold Allen knocking out Max Holloway. And Allen's not some murderous power puncher. Yes, he knocked out Dan Hooker. But he only has like 3 knockdowns in his entire UFC career, and he's been fighting for a while. Only 3 knockdowns. So he's not some murderous power guy that I'm worried about going out there and knocking down or out Max Holloway. So I don't think an Allen knockout is all that likely. And then I think for Allen to win a decision, he's going to have to out-volume Max Holloway. And we're talking about one of the best volume guys in the entire UFC in Max Holloway. And then we're talking about Arnold Allen, who's typically very, very low volume. His volume's looked a little bit better in his last couple fights, but typically Allen's very low volume. I went back to the Sadiq Yusuff fight where he got outlanded in every single round. He actually only landed 2 significant strikes in that third round against Sadiq Yusuff. Like, I just really struggle to see him outlanding Max Holloway across 25 minutes. We've never even seen Allen in the 4th and 5th round And the last time we did see Allen in the third round, he gassed out. He looked horrible against Sadiq Youssef. Again, only landing 2 strikes in that third round. So I think people are going to get reminded here that Max Holloway is the second best fighter in the division, right behind Alexander Volkanovski. Yeah, give me Max Holloway here, and I'm pretty confident in it. Unless Max is like washed, which it's so funny. People say that Max Holloway's washed, and they've been saying that since he was like 29 years old. Every time he fights, it's like Max is washed. He's done. And then he goes out there and puts on a great performance. Like, he's only 31. I don't think he's done. I've heard people saying he's going to retire after this fight. Like, what? He's 31 years old. I think he still has a good amount left in the tank here. So, yeah, give me Holloway here. I do have 4 bets. The first bet is I have 0.75 units on Max Holloway to win in round 4, 5, or by decision. The 4-5 decision on FanDuel Sportsbook plus 125. And then I also sprinkled the Holloway rounds 3, 4, and 5, quarter unit on each. Holloway round 3 plus 1,500, Holloway round 4 plus 2,000, Holloway round 5 plus 2,400 on FanDuel. Is able to beat some line movement on all of those. Looks like a lot of people are hitting those late round props, and they make a lot of sense just because we have seen Allen slow down, and we have never seen Allen in the 4th and 5th round. So give me Holloway here. From a DraftKings perspective, you can't ignore Holloway. You absolutely cannot ignore Holloway on DraftKings. I mean, the volume, 25 minutes to work with. Holloway is always in play. One of the best DraftKings scorers in the UFC. Allen's typically not a good DraftKings scorer. He only hit 100 points once, and that was against Dan Hooker. But in 5 rounds, I think Allen's going to be in play here. And maybe he does knock out Max Holloway like a lot of people think. But I'm more so on the Holloway side myself from a DraftKings perspective. But yeah, it should be a very fun main event. Looking forward to it, and looking forward to hopefully Max Holloway getting that finish in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round. Winning a decision wouldn't hurt as well. But I do like Max Holloway here. Let's see what we got in the chat. Then we will head out of here. Plus the whole 5-round thing. Allen is pretty much in uncharted waters here. Yeah. Allen's looked really good. He looked really good against Hooker. He looked good in the 1st round against Cater. But I don't know if he can beat Max Holloway. At this point of their career, I don't know. I don't think Max Holloway's washed and done like a lot of people think. Holloway to win in over 2.5 plus 125. There you go. I like it. I'll just saying, you do a lot for us, Brady. I want to give back. Appreciate that. Give us your best bet in the whole card, and I'll donate accordingly based off the odds next time you're live. If it hits, good luck this weekend. I like it. LJ, my best bet. It's Rafa Garcia, but that line has moved a little bit. Minus 220. Rafa Garcia is probably my most confident bet. I'd say Rafa Garcia or Rafa Garcia inside the distance. That's plus money, or that Holloway 4-5 decision. Those are my top 3. It's hard to really pick one, but my most confident would be Rafa Garcia. Best one, probably that Holloway 4-5 decision. Yeah, you'd be surprised how many people this week have said, and it's every week. They know they've been saying it since he was 29 years old that Max Holloway is washed, and every time it's I don't know, but I don't think he's washed. Imagine Max was only minus 130 versus Cater. Yeah, he was even he got down to a pick him at one point that Cater fight. Oh, yeah, that was bad. And Max was apparently washed in that fight too. He was washed and done there. Best live dogs. I think you can make a case for a lot of live dogs. Like Barbosa's live in the 1st round is because Billy Q blocks punches with his face. Tanner Bozer's live after the 1st round because Kudalaba has no gas. Brandon Royval, I think, is a live dog. Ed Herman's a live dog just because it's Zach Cummings. Pierre Rodriguez is a live dog in a close fight. Vannata is a live dog just because Zellhuber might not show up again. You can make a case for a lot of dogs on this card. My favorite dog, probably Royval, but he could also very well get knocked out. That's why I'm betting the under in that fight. All right, so we did it. Going to quickly go through my bets. 3 money line bets: Jacoby, Garcia, and Algeo. 1.5 units on Jacoby, minus 159. 2 units on Garcia, minus 220. Algeo money line 1.5 units, minus 165. I have Rafa Garcia inside the distance, half a unit, plus 250. I have Nikolao Royval under 2.5 rounds, half a unit, plus 100. Max Holloway wins in round 4 or 5 or by decision, plus 125, 0.75 units. Holloway wins in round 3, 4, and 5, quarter unit on each, 1,500 for round 3, 20 or 2,000 for round 4, 2,400 for round 5. Quarantilla wins in round 2, plus 600 for a quarter unit. Quarantilla wins in round 3, quarter unit, plus 1,100, and then a quarter unit on Aaron Phillips by submission, plus 1,000. Thank you all for tuning in. Go enjoy the PFL. I'm going to be tuning in pretty soon as well. Best of luck for UFC Kansas City. Like, subscribe. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow for Best Bet. See you later.